Alrighty, so it's discussion day, which means I pick a topic, or you guys pick a topic, and we talk about it. So the two... Not functioning. What we've been talking about for, I think, at least 3 or 4 streams, we've been going through DB320, which is a royal tomb cache that dates to the 3rd Intermediate period, but has mummies from the New Kingdom to the 3rd Intermediate period. We have gone through all the mummies from the 17th dynasty to the 20th dynasty. We're going to start with 21st dynasty mummies today. I will do a brief little recap of what this tomb is right now, and then we will go and look at some mummies. We will be looking at mummified human remains. The 21st dynasty is where the mummies get a little gnarly, I'm just going to say. And not gnarly in the way that you're going to think, but they are gnarly in a different way. So, just so you know. Wombat, I'm going to tell you this so honestly. If you want to learn about obelisks, go to my YouTube page. I've been literally making videos on obelisks for months now. I hate it. I want this series to end. But there's literally like, I think 30 to 40 videos of every single Egyptian obelisk around the world. We're not even done yet. I'm still making videos. But if you want to know more about obelisks, follow those videos. They're on my YouTube. They're on my Instagram. They're on my TikTok. Yeah. That's like the really, really early Cleopatra, right? Nerdfighter, I don't know what cat's eye gnarly is. Let's just say they tried to make them look more lifelike, but in a sense made them look scarier, maybe. So, yeah. Well, I'll leave it with that. I think you'll probably enjoy it, Wombat. I've had many people who enjoy the obelisk videos. I just hate making them because I find them to be very repetitive, because they all the obelisks say the exact same thing. Like, literally, there are so many of them. Oh, it's a song. See, I don't know. I've never heard that song before. All right, we're gonna get an ad for a second on Twitch. So, okay. If you don't know what DB320 is, DB320 is a cache tomb. It looks like this. This is, I think, a vertical looking down view and then a horizontal view. And then I'm unclear what this last part is. But this is what it looks like. It's a big hole in the ground. And this is where it is located. So it is up kind of in this outcropping of Deir al-Bahri, which is why we call it DB for Deir al-Bahri. It also sometimes is referred to as TT, which is Theban tomb, but it is more often called DB320. Here you have the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut, and then you have the mortuary temple of Mentuhotep II from the Middle Kingdom, and then squeezed in between it is a very tiny mortuary temple for Thutmose III. Actually, sorry, Mentuhotep is not necessarily a mortuary temple. It is... I don't know what it is. It's not a mortuary temple. It's not a sun temple. It's kind of just a temple. It could have been a sun temple. It had like 3 different iterations where it was for Hathor, then it was for Mentuhotep, then it was for Amun. So it's a weird temple, but it's older. It's like one of the oldest things in the Theban area, because Thebes did not really become a huge city until the New Kingdom. And Mentuhotep II is the first pharaoh of the Middle Kingdom. So at least a couple hundred, if not 1,000 years ahead of that. I need to take water or else I'm never going to be able to talk again. I definitely did not drink enough water today at work. But the tomb itself, we actually don't 100% know who the tomb was made for, but the tomb itself was, well, okay, so we think it was buried for Penejim the second, who I think we might talk about today. I think he might be in this section, who was a 21st dynasty pharaoh, and then essentially after, in the third intermediate period, okay, there's an ad. I'm gonna wait for the ad to be over. Any other questions? I did actually end up Unibuni finding the Cleopatra film with Vivian Leigh, which I have never seen. I ended up finding it on my Roku on there's like an old films channel, and I ended up finding that one. So I am going to watch that one, but obviously that's not the actual Cleopatra one that you're talking about, the OG, very, very early one. But it is definitely unfortunate we don't have that one. Gotta check something on my phone while we're in an ad. Woohoo, I have so many emails. But I can't remember. There's so many very, very early Cleopatra movies that I get them all mixed up sometimes. Yeah. Trying not to yawn. I have been sleeping horribly. And let's just say I had a dream last night that my dad was in a car crash. It was not a fun thing to wake up to in the morning. The worst part is he crashed the car that he was test driving for me. So it was an extremely bad guilt trip dream that I had last night. My brain is just like, every time I'm not talking, it just like, everything melts together. I think, not right now, I am probably going to start more actively looking in March. I think that's probably going to happen. I can't take all of the things that I've had to do, and I technically think I can afford a car payment. Oh yeah, so we fixed it. We got it fixed last week or 2 weeks ago when the snow happened. Lovely $600, because the guy took $150 off of it because he felt so bad that my mufflers rusted out after 4 years. But yeah, so I'm probably going to trade it in. I'm probably not going to try to sell it because it still has a perpetual oil leak that will never go away. And there's so much paint chipping off the top and such, but yeah, I'm gonna start actively looking when it gets a little bit warmer. Because yeah, Vivian, it's time for Vivian to go. It's just her time. Alrighty, so DB320 essentially was meant to be just a tomb for a normal dude named Penejim II, and we'll talk about him. He was a high priest of Amun, but he actually, during this time period, he actually claimed to be king. Him and his family essentially were like, hey, the pharaohs now have moved up north. Their capital was in Pi-Ramesses still? Or Tanis? I guess, yes, this is the same time as Tanis. This is the pharaohs were ruling out of Tanis, which is really, really far away in the Nile Delta. It's even further than Cairo. And essentially they were like, yeah, we're gonna rule. And the crazy thing about it is that Egyptologists, while we do acknowledge their claim to rule, we don't actually classify them in any sort of dynasty. There are times when there are two different groups of people worshiping the north and one worshiping the south, and we classify them as dynasties. We give them that number and we claim them that they are actually rulers. For some reason, the Thebans in this area don't get that claim. I don't know why, but they don't. So you'll see they're always going to be classed as high priest. The Linnea, thank you for subscribing. Oh my gosh, Pete Mothman. Thank you for gifting it to the Linnea. Thank you so much. We're not paying attention. We're not reading it correctly. Mothman, thank you so much for gifting the sub. Oh, welcome on in. I'm so happy. Thank you. You are so lovely. So this tomb was meant for this pharaoh, but not pharaoh. I'm silly too, Baha. I read it the wrong way too. And I forgot that sound alert is gifting a sub instead of, it's just that kind of day. I don't know what the temperature is like where you are, Baha, but it's literally, I think it's 18 here with a wind advisory, so I'm sure it feels like 0 or something. I don't even know. What does it say? What does the weather channel say? We're all just frozen. Ah, it is 18 degrees and it feels like 2 degrees outside. Damn. There are 37 mile per hour wind gusts right now. Yeah, we're all in it, man. We're all in the cold and we can't feel our bodies. I mean, at least I'm at 2, but we also have a crazy, I would actually die in -7. I'm not even joking you. I didn't wear like my full like gear because when I went to work today, because I just had to like park my car and then run inside. I came back and I couldn't feel my fingers just from like the 5 seconds I was in like going outside and then in the car. And so when I came home, I was like, I had to call my mom and I'm like, I'm in bed. I'm warming my hands. Celsius. Someone needs to convert it for me. 75? Damn. That is cold. Not cold. That's crazy though. That's a crazy wind chill. Everyone's so cold. We're all cold. Yeah, we're all just frozen together. My brain is just not functioning. So, even though this tomb was made for this pharaoh, not pharaoh, pharaoh high priest, essentially during the third intermediate period, these priests go through the Valley of the Kings and go through the Valley of the Nobles as well and Deir al-Bahri, and they say, oh my god, all of these tombs are open to the elements and all of these tombs have been looted. And we do actually have documentation from that roughly that time period of these priests going in and discovering that all these tombs are looted. So what they do, and it appears that they do this very slowly over the course of many years, that they slowly but surely take these royal mummies out of the tombs. They place them first in one reburial cache to like store them, and then eventually sort of restore them, or as they are using the term, Osirify. They are creating Osiris. They are sort of reinvigorating and reburying them. And they then rebury these mummies mainly in 2 different spots, in the Deir al-Bahri cache, which we're talking about now, as well as the KV-35 cache, which is in the Valley of the Kings. And so we have been going through this cache. This cache was discovered by a non-Egyptologist in the 1800s for a considerable amount of years, where the family, the Abd er-Rasul family, did take things from the tomb and secretly put them on the market. Mostly they were small things, shopties. No, it does not appear that the caches were looted after the third intermediate period when they... Well, I don't think so. I don't believe so. That I have never read anything that appears that they were robbed in antiquity after the third intermediate period priest reburied them. It was looted in modern times in the 1800s. But I guess no, it does not appear that it was looted after the third intermediate priest reburied the mummies there. But I feel like there would be something written about it, but I have not seen anything, let's say. It's too warm today, Mark? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So this family looted this tomb, sold some of the items. You can see here, Book of the Dead of Penegem II was sold in 1876. We don't have a huge, clear understanding. Unfortunately, we don't 100% know, but for these pharaohs, yes, it could be a possibility with Shoptis. Because Shoptis are not typically, unless they are made with like gold or a precious metal, which most often they are not, that is not a common thing that looters would have originally taken. So that makes a lot of sense why some of them would be left and then of course reburied. But we know that it becomes publicly known in 1881. We don't know when they actually discovered it. This says it's suspected 1871, so they had about 10 years to slowly kind of go through it. But most items start appearing on the market until 1874. So canopic jars, funerary papyri, the possibility of the actual mummy of Ramses I. It's not 100%, but that is possible. So that actually was discovered in was said to be discovered and taken out of Egypt in 1860. So it's a back and forth. It's not 100% if he was if that mummy was in this cache, but it could be. I'm so jealous, Mark. That sounds so good. I'm so glad you get to go to Portugal. It's what you've been wanting for this whole time. That makes me so happy. I'm so jealous. I want to go. Oh, that's so cool. I cannot believe it. Is this person just like at a different school? Oh my god. So good. So good. Cool. So cool. So yeah, so eventually they discover the tomb in 1881 because they see these items on the art market. Anything with KV is going to be Valley of the Kings. So all of those are going to be inside of the actual valley. While Theban TT tombs can have a wide range of different locations within the Theban necropolis. But if it has KV, it's going to always be King's Valley, QV, Queen's Valley, TT, Theban tomb, DB, Deir al-Bakhri. But with it, the TT has a quite wide range. There's Dra Abu al-Naga, there's Al-Asaif, there's Al-Hukka, there's Kurnet Morai, what's the other one that I just missed? Sheikh Abd al-Kurna. There's a lot of different sections within the Theban necropolis. So cool. So cool, Mark. Alrighty, so here's the full list of mummies. You can go on Wikipedia. They have a pretty good list. We are going to start with Nojmet. And I mainly have been using this website. Unfortunately, we're using it on the Wayback Machine because their website is glitched out. But the Wayback Machine is fine. They have not updated this website in a long time anyway, so it'll be fine. But we're going to start with Nojmet here. And we'll look at some better pictures of her, I promise. So when we get into the 21st dynasty, we start getting, again, these royals with quotation marks, but not really royals. They were not the ruling class of the 21st dynasty, but it gets a little bit kind of complicated. But we will start with Nojmet first. So also, I love this picture. This is from her Book of the Dead. I believe I have a whole blog post about Nojmet on my old blog. But she was the wife of High Priest of Amun, Harry Hor, who you can see here from his Book of the Dead. And again, is not a pharaoh, but is one of these high priests who are ruling the south, sort of. When Ramses that's 11th, so that's the last Ramses, is ruling out of Pi-Ramesses in the north. So, she was found in the side room D of DB320. So the mummy of Nojmet was partially unwrapped by Gaston Maspero on June 1st, 1886. G.E. Smith continued the unwrapping on September 3rd, 1906, but only removed the remaining wrappings from areas of the body that were of special relevance to his study of ancient Egyptian embalming practices. Smith points out, as one of the earliest mummies from the 21st dynasty, Nojmet is of special interest because it provides one of the first examples of the newer mummification techniques that were done by embalmers of this time period. So another very important thing is that it says probably inspired by their inspection of earlier mummies that have been restored and then reburied in the caches. So I guess does that mean there's the possibility that she was buried here after the cache was already made? Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that for a second. I didn't think about that. The mummy represents a transitional phase in the adoption of this new embalming methods. So no attempt was made to insert materials under the skin via incisions, as in the case of later 21st dynasty mummies. Instead, the embalmers applied padding, wax, and other cosmetics directly to the surface of the skin in order to give the mummy a more lifelike appearance, which we've talked about this briefly. This was for a very small time period, this was a practice in the Old Kingdom as well. Because we don't have as many Old Kingdom mummies preserved, it's more prominent during this time, and it's honestly better during this time because at this point they've perfected certain mummification techniques, and now they're adding to it to make the person look more lifelike. In order to fill out Nojmet's face, her mouth was tightly packed with sawdust and her nose was filled with resin. Artificial eyebrows made of hair were attached to her face with some sort of adhesive substance, possibly resin. A wig was added, which gives the mummy a youthful look by concealing a few remaining gray hairs on her head. The problem with this is that none of the links, I think, work. Okay, there we go. Wow. It's actually a pretty good photo. So this is after they would have salted and dried the body. So salt is always, and they use a special salt, like natron salt. But no, this is after they would have salted the body. The salting of the body is like the first step you would do in mummification to dry the body out. But yeah, beautiful wig. Very, very detailed. I can pull up some of these photos so they're a little bigger. So here you can see the beautiful papyri. So Nojmet had been buried with 2 funerary papyri, one of which was stolen, probably by the Abd el-Rasuls, and sold. Maspero states in his 1905 book of Guide to the Cairo Museum that parts of the stolen papyrus, which Nojmet jointly owned with her husband, Harry Hoare, has ended up in the collections of the Louvre and the British Museum. So it looks like this section is from the British Museum at the moment. The Osiris shroud that covers the mummy also concealed ancient damage. Nojmet has gashes on her forehead, cheeks, and nose, possibly caused when thieves had cut through the original wrappings to search for valuables. Impressions of jewelry on her right arm indicate that the looters actually did find things and stole them off of her arm. Nojmet's legs were also badly broken, her wrists were fractured, and her left humerus was broken near the shoulder. So again, the looters really going in and ripping the mummies apart, looking for valuables. So some jewelry still remains on her mummy. Smith discovered several bracelets composed of very tiny carnelian beads carved into the shapes of spheres, lotus buds, with lapis lazuli beads and gold cylinders. He found them still in situ, so in the exact location on her wrists. And she has these artificial eyes. Again, to give this lifelike appearance, and this is the earliest use of artificial eyes on a mummy. However, see his comments on artificial eyes made of onions in the mummy of Ramses the Fourth? What? Made of onions? What? Guess we gotta go look that up later. I may have skipped over Ramses the Fourth because he may have been in a... Yeah, he's in KV 35. I need to read about onions for just a brief moment. Another innovation were the onions that had been used to provide artificial eyes. And Smith comments how realistic they appear. What? Can you even see it? No, you can like barely see it. Apparently they were still preserved when... That's wild. realize onion eyes. Yeah, the eyes in this case are very, very interesting. Yeah, so these are technically not the first... What this is saying is that this is technically not the first time of the use of artificial eyes, but this is the first time of artificial eyes made out of semi-precious stones. I believe it's probably crystal. That's what most of them are made out of, at least in coffins. So x-rays show that the heart scarab is still in situ in her chest, along with the figures of the four sons of Horus. The traditional embalming plate was not used in this case, and the embalmers had simply filled the embalming incision with a wax plug. For those who don't know, an embalming plate is usually a piece of very thin gold that would have been placed over the incision, which is always usually on the lower left side of your body. Kind of going parallel to your hip bone, like kind of at an angle, not vertical, not like a diagonal line up your side, sort of. But this one apparently did not have it, although it may have been looted, but it doesn't appear that they think that there was one at all. The body cavity has been packed with sawdust. Smith reported that he could find no trace of viscera in the body cavity, so in Nojimit's case, the viscera had probably been placed in canopic jars rather than reinserted into the body cavity, as is the case with subsequent 21st Dynasty mummies. So the common practice that we know about putting it all in the canopic jars goes out of style in the 21st Dynasty, and they actually would take the organs out, mummify them separately, and then place them inside of the body. And this one does not have that. So she is one of the last ones to have that practice, at least in Pharaoh's mummies. It does sound like a cool tattoo, Otto. And hello, welcome on in. So along with her mummy, she was also found with an Osiris figure and a wooden canopic jar, or canopic box. Let's see what it looks like. If it loads. It's so bright. I might have to Google it. It's not loading. I'll see if it loads in a second. Nojimet lay in two nested coffins that had originally been made for an unidentified man. The outer coffin had its gilding completely adzed off and its eye inlays removed. So they scraped off all the gold and took out the eye inlays in the coffin itself. The inner coffin has received slightly different treatment. Most of its gilded surfaces was also adzed off, the gold-covered hands removed, and the eye inlays taken out. But the inscriptions and religious symbols remain intact, indicating that the coffin had been stripped by necropolis officials and priests rather than thieves, which is very interesting. Absolutely. You can always lurk. See a photo of the coffin. Oh, nope, it didn't work. See a coffin. Problem is that we're on a thing. Let's see if her page has... Nope. You know what? Oh, something's here. Something's loading. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so it's been scraped off, but you can tell a lot of the religious symbols are still there. I was gonna look up, I think I wrote a blog post about her. Let's see. There she is. I probably have some photos on here. There she is. God, look how cute this is. I love this. So they added off the gold so that they could reuse it. So it's very hard to tell who are actually being the tomb looters in a lot of cases. In some cases we can assume based on, like, we know that we have documentation of at least a couple tomb looters by name or by at least like sort of profession, and we can tell that those are people associated with Deir al-Medina, who are those who are making the tomb, and they know what it looks like and stuff. But there's also indications that priests may have actually gone in and taken things. Somebody even commented on this recently on a video where they're like, didn't the priest just go back into the tomb to take items for the treasury? And I was like, maybe, like, there's nothing written explicitly about that. It would not totally unsurprise me, but you can tell that, like, a person desperate enough to go in and loot a tomb would completely take all the gold off of it, off of a coffin. Somebody's leaving all the religious symbolism. They probably at least have some sort of respect for the dead and for wanting them to get to the afterlife, which means that they could be a priest in that way. But yeah, this is Harry Hoare, and this is his wife, Nojmet. So here is her coffins. Can you click this? No, apparently not. These are her coffins. So you can see it's all just scraped off pretty much. Oh, here's a picture. You can see they've just scraped off just almost all the gold off of her face. But she has actually an almost fully solid coffin, which is pretty impressive. It's interesting they left her wig. Oh, look, it's the whole Book of the Dead. This is definitely the one in the British Museum because the quality of the photo is so nice. There they are. I think it's cool that you see him in two different crowns, and even her, she looks different. Oh, you know why? Oh, I know why. It's sort of like, this is sort of a Nemes headdress. Like, it could be like when he's younger and when he's a king or a high priest. Very interesting. Tiny little weighing of the scales with a Thoth as a baboon. There, look at it, it's so cute. Little tiny Mott. And a little tiny version of her or him. And one more version of her and him. Actually, I think it keeps going. God, there's 26 photos in this. So this is the funeral where they're carrying the body, and there's a little picture of him playing Senet. So cute! And the Ba. The Ba. And then the coffin. And the two birds. And you can see his name is writing his name in a cartouche. So that probably says Harry Hoare. I can't read it. But, oh, and look, another one. This is another Book of the Dead. There she is, yeah. I love that. That's so great. Yeah, so there's another version of it. Oh, and then here we go. Her mummy. Oh yeah, here's the canopic jar. Isn't it cute? This is the canopic jar. The little Anubis on the top is so cute. Okay. Back to this. Okay. Let's see. We already read all that. So she was probably originally buried around the year 1 of Smedes, possibly in the tomb of Imhapi. So it does appear that she was buried in the middle of the process of the reburial. Interesting. Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely cover the Ushabti website after we do all the mummies. Because at this point, I should have probably gone back and forth between the two websites when we touched on each of the people, but at this point, we're too deep into this. So there are 3 linen dockets or labels that sort of help us know about the reburials. So dated in context with the inscriptional evidence provided on linen docket 3, to year 1 of Smedes Penegem I, found on the bandages on the sole of her left foot, and all it says is High Priestess of Amun. And then the second one's also dated in context to the same years, and it just says Nojmet, written in a cartouche, which is very cool. But then we have this third linen docket that actually says the year. That kind of tells us. But this is the website, if it works. I'm actually going to see if I can pull this up. Not on, here we go. Because then we can do this, the higher resolution image. So the wig is very, very elaborate. And honestly, it's like a lot of mummies don't have this very full face that she has. You'll also hear that this is like the first time I've told you guys about sawdust being used, because it's not a typical, this is sort of part of that new type of mummification. You can see her fake eyebrows on the top, but she still has such a little thin neck. And again, the boobs. The boobs are always suffering, unfortunately. And her poor little spine. But these braids are very elaborate. If you notice, these are not 3-strand braids. These are 4 or 5-strand braids. In some cases, this looks like a 3-strand braid, but this one here looks like this looks like a 4-strand braid, to be honest, which is pretty impressive. And they all have little curls at the end. Oh, but look at her little spine and her butt. Looks like she has a little curve, but not too much. All right, so that is Nojmet. So let's go to Penegem I. So, Penegem I is, again, one of these high priests of Amun. Actually, let me just briefly... Is Harry Hor found in here? I don't think we have his mummy, interestingly. But I want to read Harry Hor and the Nojmet problem, because that seems interesting. It is beyond doubt that Harry Hor had a wife named Nojmet. She has been attested in the Temple of Khonsu, where she is depicted at the head of the procession of the children of Harry Hor, and on Stela Leiden V65, where she is depicted with Harry Hor presented as high priest without royal overtones, so apparently dating from quite early in his career. Normally, she is identified with the mummy of Nojmet, which was discovered in Deir al-Bakhri. With this mummy, 2 books of the dead were found. One of these, now in the British Museum, belongs to the king's mother, Nojmet, and the daughter of king's mother, Harry Ray. Whereas the name of Nojmet was written in a cartouche, the name of Harry Ray was not. Since this Nojmet is mostly seen as the wife of the High Priest of Harry Hor, Harry Ray's title often is misinterpreted as King's mother-in-law, although her title, Who Bore the Strong Bull, suggests she may have actually given birth to a king. Interesting. Interesting. So it doesn't actually appear that we do have the mummy of Harry Hor. So he was not buried in... He was not buried in... Or reburied in Deir al-Bahri Cache. Here we have Penejum the First. Here's a little Lushabti of him. Drink. Drink. I might eat some corn nuts, but I am scared of choking them while I'm talking. But, so we have the mummy of Penejum the First. It had been disturbed, probably first in antiquities, and then possibly by the Abd er-Rasuls between their discovery and the official clearance of the tomb. Ooh. Whoop, too many. Dropping them. Dropping the nuts. So unfortunately it seems to have been disturbed twice. The mummy was wrapped in an Osiris shroud and may have been basically intact, but since its location remains unknown, the condition of the mummy cannot be determined. Oh, shit, this mummy's missing. Ah! Hello! King of the South and North, son of Bray. I also just realized the stream avatars are broken over here too. Welcome on in, Raiders!
You guys need to learn it by heart. I'll practice it already. This is about the Wild Hunt? Yes, it draws me. Not in June, it doesn't.
What is that game? That game looks so cute. Hello, welcome on in. Oh my god, you're playing Origins. Where are you? What are you playing? How do you like it? Pentiment. That looks so cute. But welcome on in, Raiders. My name is MelissainDeNile. I'm in denial in more ways than one. I'm an Egyptologist, archaeologist, and I stream Egyptology, archaeology, games here on Twitch. We are having one of our discussion streams. We are talking about mummies from the Deir al-Bahri Cache. We are looking at 21st mummies, and we just discovered that apparently this mummy of Penejum II, or Penejum I, is currently missing. It is currently unknown where it is actually located. Strong feelings, mostly negative, about the ending of the main quest. I kind of like the ending of the main quest. I mean, I don't like it in certain ways, but I like it in other ways. But you're having feelings. I can understand you having feelings. Do you not like it? I don't know how many other Assassin's Creed games you've played. I mean, that's to be expected from all the Assassin's Creed games. I literally, considering we finished Assassin's Creed Brotherhood on Thursday, and literally I read the entire Wikipedia of Cesare Borgia, and I was like, wow, did you guys know that the entire Wikipedia of Cesare Borgia does not mention incest with his sister at all? And I was so shocked by that. I was like, I was gonna say, I've never played Valhalla. I love Origins. I'm obsessed with Origins. I love the plot. I did actually read it. I did actually read Cesare Borgia's entire Wikipedia last night, and It mentions nothing. It mentions so little. Well, I know, so I already knew it was speculative. There's not a single section on his Wikipedia that talks about it at all. Even speculative things make it onto Wikipedia sometimes. So, I was surprised it was not mentioned there anywhere. Like, usually they have scandal or speculative history. It was not mentioned anywhere. Though I did find out that his sister-in-law, was it his sister-in-law? His sister-in-law supposedly may have had affairs with both brothers, which was interesting. I like a lot of parts about it. I do. There are definitely problems. We'll jump over here so you don't have to look at a mummy the whole time. Yes, you can change your little character to whatever you would like. But welcome, Sassy Catastrophe, and welcome an Insecure Creator. Welcome on in. I don't know. I love Origins. The only, like, thing I hate about Origins is that, the devs, that they listened to people when they said they didn't want a woman to be the main character, because Aya is 100, yes, and you can't play Aya for the entire time. Like, Aya is the main character, especially with the ending of that video game. You can just tell she was meant to be the main character. And I love Bayek. I do. I love them together. But it was meant to be Aya. Aya was supposed to be the champion. That is the only thing that I, like, desperately hate about the game. Everything else is, like, passable. I don't like how they depicted Cleopatra, but I also personally don't believe we have any good idea of what Cleopatra VII was actually like in real life. I feel like she has been completely clouded by so many different things that I don't think we have a good like understanding of her at all. Unacceptable, Ludo. You'll have to play the DLCs because it might change your mind about Aya, but I love Aya. Nothing can make me hate Aya. Literally, so we have, I'm not allowed to play Origins anymore until I finish all the other Assassin's Creeds. And I have, like, a second game. Welcome on in, Peter. Thank you for the follow. I have a second game that we sort of play on, like, special occasions. And literally, we're still in Alexandria because it's the first time that you meet Aya. And I'm just like, yes! Give me Aya! I will take her any day. Absolutely. I love her. Oh, yeah. There's so many cool parts of Origins that I really, really liked. Yeah, especially now that I have played other Assassin's Creed games, like, I think the plot is 12 times better than any of a lot of the games that we have played. Like, I do really like Origins. It took me a really long time to get interested in Origins. There was a lot, or sorry, Odyssey. It took me a lot of time to get interested. Origins, I was just fascinated the entire time, and I was just, like, in it to win it. Mirage, unfortunately, I loved every aspect of it, but the plot is not there, and the Easter egg, like the Easter egg or the cliffhanger or the explaining Bossam's life is not there, because if you don't play Valhalla, you don't understand it, because that was a full like, just bad dev move from them. The first one is so bad. So boring. I don't care about any of the characters. I don't even understand where we are in any parts of the game, but that's understandable. It's the first game. And then the second one and the third one, which we've now played, had very interesting stories, were very interesting interactions with other characters, with real life people. But gameplay is awful. See, for Origins, in comparison to all the other Assassin's Creed games we've played, gameplay is the best. And obviously, in my opinion, the setting is the best. And so it's like, nothing will beat it. I also forgot about Shadows. Shadows is cool. Shadows is huge. Shadows was just like, it took me a really long time to figure out, and the splitting of the characters just could not. Well, the splitting of the characters is fine. No, we've talked about this, Mark. The sharpshooting bow in Origins is superior to everything. Sassy, you should be able to scroll down. If you're on a PC, you will scroll down and you'll see something called stream avatars. If you're on mobile, look above the chat. There should be 3 little logos, and one has a big SA, which stands for stream avatars, not what you think it is. And you click that, and that tells you how to change your character. And if you can't figure that out, I can change it for you. Shadows, my biggest problem with Shadows is that I liked the 2 separate characters. I did not like that they had completely different abilities. I did not like that aspect of it. I think they were great characters. I think all of those things, but I can't. Are you having trouble, Peter? Yeah, I can change you if you want. If I remember how to do that. I gotta find you first. There you are. Peter wants to be Thoth. It should refresh. Sassy, those are my favorite gods. Newt's my favorite goddess and Medjit's my favorite god. Alright, Peter, I think you should be Thoth now. Nope, maybe not. Maybe I gotta click refresh. Peter, click, no, nope. Oh, I gotta click refresh. Apologies. Yeah, now you're Thoth. There you go. Yeah, because I liked doing what I'm supposed to do and sharpshooting and sneaking. I liked doing that. Yeah, it made it too hard to figure out what needed to be done in Shadows. Hi, Taxdu, welcome on in. It just was so easy with the sharpshooting bow, and I would go on top of a temple, I'd go on a thing, and I could shoot, and no one would see me. It would be great, and that doesn't happen in... It happens a little bit in Odyssey, but it's not the same thing. We like Thoth. Thoth is definitely a cool one. All right, so we're talking about DB320. Thank you so much, Ludo, for raiding on in. If you need to raid and rest, please go ahead. But thank you for bringing all your friends here after you guys finished Origins. We talk about a lot of Egypt in here, so we love those things. Oh no, Taxdu. I'm so sorry. What happened? What happened to you? I'm glad you're back though. Hopefully. And hopefully feeling better. For those who don't know what DB320 is, DB320 is a cache tomb, or a tomb of reburial. Tons of pharaohs from the 17th to the 21st dynasty were reburied in this tomb after Third Intermediate Priests found out that all these tombs had been looted through and destroyed, and a lot of the mummies had been really damaged. We are going through the 21st dynasty mummies now. We just did Nojmet, here she is, and then we are looking at Penedjem the First right now, who apparently is missing, which is a new one for me. So we're reading through this website that has a lot of info about all the mummies and when they were unwrapped, which is like what I really wanted to learn about. So the mummy of Penedjem the First had been disturbed, probably first in antiquity, and then probably by the Abd er-Rasul family between their discovery of the tomb and then the clearance 10 years later. If you didn't, like, this tomb was later found by an Egyptian family who started to take items from it and sell them on the black market. Potentially the family did disturb this mummy specifically. Into Bucky's. So apparently the current location of this mummy is unknown. what it says is that the odd fact that this mummy of Penedjem I has been missing since the late 19th century constitutes a genuine Egyptological mystery. Rumor has it that it might be in Qasr El Irni's medical facility in Cairo, occasionally circulating, but nothing definite has ever emerged to confirm this. Because this is an older website, let me briefly go and see if they talk about it on his Wikipedia. No, they don't talk about it at all. Interesting. Yeah, his mummy was found in the cache in Deir al-Bahri. That's all it says. Interesting. And it's not even, they don't even have the comment on that page to say that something is weird. Wild. Okay. The photo above left, taken by Birch sometime after the DB320 mummies were taken to Bulaq, seems to show a mummy in good condition, and then another at right shows the mummy as it appears during its early stage of its unwrapping. So it was unwrapped, at least, but the current location of it is not known. Intriguing. So the mummy of Penedjem I had originally been covered in a shroud, like you can see here. Apparently held in place with red leather straps or braces, which look like this, this is a mummy that's still wrapped, so it would have looked like this with all of the straps on it. These had been removed by the Abd er-Rasuls, who attempted to sell them to Charles E. Wilbur, a colleague of Gaston Maspero. This is the event that then provided enough evidence to help the authorities track down the location of DB320. That makes a lot of sense. So they took the wrappings off, and they, instead of trying to sell the whole mummy, they tried to sell just these straps on the outside. Penedjem I was interred with an exceptionally fine papyrus copy of the Book of the Dead, around 450 centimeters in length and 35 centimeters in width, which was found rolled up between the legs of his mummy. In the photo of the papyrus, I just dropped something. Oh, it's a really bad photo, but it's a cool looking papyrus. And then 2 Shabti boxes associated with Penedjem I were also found in the tomb. So let's see. There it is. And as you can see, even though Penedjem is technically just a high priest of Amun, these priests tried to essentially, it's not even take over the south. It's sort of that they just declared themselves pharaoh over the south, and none of the pharaohs in the north really thought that there was anything like untoward. No, these are more than likely faience, which is a blue ceramic material, blue glass ceramic material that the Egyptians invented. They invented it to try to be a cheaper version of lapis lazuli or turquoise, but yeah, it's not painted. It's glass. It's a ceramic material that has sort of a glass, silica-based glaze on top of it. Okay, that's good to text you. I hope you're doing okay. So Penedjem I was found in a very large yellow painted coffin belonging to Ahotep I, one of my favorites. I think did we do a whole lecture about her earlier? I love Ahotep. There she is. Okay. Dang, Wayback Machine. So yeah, so Ahotep has this massive, massive coffin. Hi, Dom. Welcome on in. You have not missed much. You've only missed one mummy. So he was apparently found buried in this thing. This massive, massive, here we go. Massive, massive coffin. Yay! Good job. I'm so happy for you, Tax Stew. So even though Penedjem the first is from the 21st dynasty, he was found buried in a coffin of the 17th dynasty, technically, because she's the mother of Ahmose the First, who is the founder of the 18th dynasty. But Penedjem the First had originally been buried in a double coffin set that had been appropriated for Thutmose the First. So a pharaoh that we've already covered had... Let's see if there's a picture of it. Never mind. The Wayback Machine is definitely making this rough. These two coffins had been coated with plaster, gilded, painted, and re-inscribed for Penedjem I. When found, the gilding had been adzed off, but Penedjem's inscriptions were left intact. Close inspection of the coffins revealed their original owner. As in the case of Nojmet's coffins, Penedjem I had also probably been stripped by priestly reburial officials instead of thieves. And the interesting thing is that it doesn't appear that he has any sort of linen docket or any sort of label on his mummy telling him when it was reburied. But it doesn't appear that we know. It's a very, very interesting dude. So these are his coffin. Ooh, look at that. It's so interesting. So in this case, these priests in the third intermediate period went in. Thank you, Tax Stew. Have a very great rest of your night. I hope you get better soon. The reburials are done because these third intermediate priests go into the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Nobles, the Valley of the Queens, and they discover a lot of these pharaonic tombs opened up, and the bodies left for the elements. And so they do a process that takes actually quite a long time, where they rebury them and they rewrap them and they re-osirify them, which is like this special word that they have for kind of the religious ceremonies of burying somebody and trying to kind of respect those that have passed before. And so that is kind of what these two cash tombs are, these reburials of all of these pharaohs and royal family members as well. Very interesting coffin, and you can really see it's quite beautiful. So this is the inner coffin lid, and this is the outer coffin lid. And you can see where they've scraped off all the gold, except they've left the trail of hieroglyphs. It's got an interesting look, especially this. It's very reminiscent of Tut a little bit, but there's a lot of interesting things that are unique. Like even him holding an Ankh is interesting. I think it's an Ankh. Not 100% sure. Oh god, giant photo. Yeah, it is an Ankh. The scarab is very interesting. So this piece here is the entire inner coffin lid, but what it's happened is that all of this gold has been scraped off, and then this is the outer coffin. So outer on the left, inner on the right. But both of them, we call it adzed off, A-D-Z-E-E-D, adzed off, where they scraped all of the gilding off of it so that it could be reused and like melted down. Very interesting. All right, I think we're gonna get an ad, so we'll take a little break. This is just so interesting, though, that we've lost this guy's mummy. Interesting. Also, apparently he's got a pectoral. It's a beautiful pectoral. At the Louvre. I have a feeling this was probably looted and sold. And his shop is at the Brooklyn Museum. Ah, he's the dad of Susenes the First. Interesting. There are a lot of kids, which is interesting. A lot of family members in this tomb. All right, I think we are ready to move on to the next person when the ad's over. I mean, Mao Memo, yes. But there are quite a few museums where a good amount of items were excavated properly. There's sort of a difference between full looting, excavated properly, but then exported, not illegally, but exported unethically, if that makes sense. And then there's excavated properly and was not exported. Those are like, all Egyptian objects probably fall into one of those three categories. So there are plenty of museums around the world that have items that were properly excavated archaeologically. But the common practice of the time was that archaeologists would split the finds evenly between Egypt and their institution that funded the excavation. So that is why a lot of pieces left Egypt in the late 1800s, early 1900s when they were excavated. If they weren't excavated, then then they were just taken. Yeah. Thank you, Dom. Why didn't the sound alert go? We're having problems with our sound alerts. Thank you, Dom, for subscribing for 1 month. Also, answering your question, Mothman. No. Commoners didn't even get mummification, let alone a coffin. Woo! Yes, so commoners did not... The lowest of low classes didn't even get mummification, would have simple pit burials. Yes, it was hella expensive. Sort of when you think of like top tier mummification, 40 to 70 days mummification, a solid wood coffin imported from Lebanon. So like a solid wood coffin. You go down a tier, 40 days mummification. Not a solid wood coffin, but a coffin made up of different pieces of wood that have been plastered together to look like a solid coffin. You go down a tier, maybe you get a coffin, and maybe you get some drying, but maybe you can't get your canopic jar or your organs removed. Down another tier, I don't think you would do mummification if you didn't have a coffin. I'm not 100% sure about that, but... Well, actually, I'm second guessing myself now. I think you could do a simple mummification without a coffin, and then you go down even further and you have no coffin. There are also instances, very rarely, but in certain time periods and certain locations, you have clay coffins, or children are buried in pots, in pot burials, or adults are buried in pot burials, because there is one at the Petrie Museum that there's a full adult in a pot burial. It's not totally clear, unfortunately, because we don't have the writings or knowledge of commoners. There is a high chance that the lowest of classes didn't really understand or even have the understanding or belief of anything. There is a not as super strong theory, but that a lot of common people, they didn't have that religious inkling as much as the highest class of people, and they would do tiny necessary things with household gods that of protection, Hathor, Taweret, Bes, and that they wouldn't really be worshiping any other big gods. Especially if you didn't live in a city that is near a big temple, you may not even know. And that there was a lot of like simple personal piety to be able to live, but that it really wasn't the same. And so there's a high chance that they just didn't know or didn't care. Another very good indication that some people don't care, that some of the like middle class and lower class people did not care about going to the afterlife, is that they looted other people's tombs to take their stuff. You would think that there would be some sort of fear or respect. They obviously did not have either, because they went and looted the tombs. Can't stop hiccuping. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's hard. It's so hard to say, unfortunately. It just really is. All right, let's go to our next mummy. This is going to be Duat Hathor Henet Awi A, because there are two, of course, or maybe multiple. Yeah, and that's another possibility. All of these things are possibilities, and unfortunately, things like intention and why somebody did something is not something that archaeology can really figure out ever, unless somebody decided to write it the hell down. But yes, all of those are possibilities, and they all could happen at the same time. There could be one people that are doing it because of greed and desperation. There could be one that are doing it out of something else. Like, all of those things can exist at the same time. The unfortunate part is intention is an extremely difficult thing to pinpoint historically, why somebody does something. But yeah, it's all possible. All possible. So, Duat Hathor, this is it's the hardest name, it's so long. Duat Hathor Henut Awi A was from the 21st dynasty. She was the wife of somebody. Is this the right one? Oh, prior to restoration? I've been lied to. I thought this was what she looked like. She's been restored. Okay. She is the wife of Penedjum the First, the guy that we just talked about. Okay. Yes, it is unfortunate, Peter. So the mummy of Henut Awe had been disturbed, and an opening had been dug through the bandages in the region of the thorax and abdomen. The mummy had an Osiris shroud, which appears intact in a photo taken by Emil Birch after the mummy had been taken to Cairo. Let's see if we can see that photo. Oh, here she is. All wrapped up in the little bandages. Interestingly, look how tall she is. Or look how small she is. They have this huge block here to be able to fit her in the coffin. Poor thing. I have a feeling this coffin wasn't made for her. Proving that the hole burrowed into Dua Hathor Henut's body was already present when the 21st Dynasty priest rewrapped her. Oh, okay. So, like, this is the rewrapping that the priests in the Third Intermediate period did. But that the hole that was inside proves that it was already there. So this mummy is historically interesting in that it is one of the first to exhibit the completely evolved version of the new embalming techniques pioneered in the 21st Dynasty. The original embalmers had packed sawdust mixed with resin and bits of linen under the skin of her body and face in order to give her a more lifelike appearance. This represents a departure from the method used on Nojmet's mummy, in which padding had been applied directly to the surface of the skin without any attempt of subdermal packing. Ooh. Over the centuries, the sawdust used to flesh out Henutwe expanded and unfortunately ruptured the skin, which you can see from, I think, this photo. Which I'm wondering if it's on these pages somewhere. Here she is. I bet this sawdust got wet. I bet that's what happened. So here's that hole in her chest, unfortunately. I've always been so interested as to why her braids were all like covered around that area. So in 1974, her face was restored to a semblance of ancient appearance by Dr. Nasri Iskander. Is this that photo? I think it is. Yeah, it's that photo. That's so interesting. I had no idea that her face was restored. This is like the first I think I've heard of it. I don't think any of the other mummies have had any restoration work. Because this didn't look that familiar to me, this photo. But look at her hair. It's so different from, it's so different from the other, from Nojmet's hair, which was all braids. This is all curls. There's little braids I can see. And these big spirals, but... X-rays revealed the presence of several amulets still in the wrappings. Smith also records that he found a very fine example of a golden embalming plate covering the embalming incision, which you can see here. It's got the 4 sons of Horus. It's got the Eye of Horus. It's got a what's the name? What's the name? What's the name? The name is a... It's literally a flagpole, but it has a stupid other name, and I can't remember what the name of it is. I can't think of it. So the plate was unusual in that, in addition to the customary Eye of Horus, it also has the 4 sons of Horus and Borin's inscriptions. Tiny holes visible in the upper and lower corners of this object show where the string had been threaded. This was circled around the abdomen like a belt in order to attach the plate to Henutwe's body. So these mummies were all reburied into one tomb. Yes. There are 2 tomb caches. This tomb has 50 mummies. KV 35, I'm not sure how many are in that one. But these are almost every single mummy from mummy of the pharaohs from the New Kingdom. Not every single one, but a lot of them, as well as mummies of their royal family. So wives, children, and then some unknowns. And then there is KV35, which we'll go over probably. We'll take a little break when we finish going over these mummies. But I do want to go through those ones as well in some discussion streams coming up. Oh my god, what is it called? It's so annoying. It's when you look at a gnome. Oh my god, I just had it. A standard. It's called a standard. That's why it's a stupid word. It's a standard, which is essentially a flag, but it's to represent like a gnome, they would have a person like holding it, like depicted, and then there's some sort of object on top of the standard. So like the hare gnome would have a bunny on top, but yeah, it's called a standard, which is why I think it's a stupid word. I know sometimes we use the word standard for flag, but it seems a silly word because of what it is typically used for now. Okay. So yeah, instead of actually placing this on the embalming incision, it sort of was wrapped around her like a belt. The mummy was found in a dual set of coffins, one of which, the outer one, lacked a lid. There was no lid, which is boring. The gilded portion of both coffins had been adzed over, but the sacred images were both intact. And the inner coffin retained its inscriptions. As in the case of the coffins belonging to Nojmet and Penejim II, Duat Hathor's Hanut Alwiz was probably stripped by necropoli officials rather than thieves. She was found along with 2 Shabti boxes, an Osiris figure, a papyrus, and canopic jar. A Shabti belonging to her is currently in the Berlin Museum. Shabtis of this queen are unusually well represented online. One can be seen at the University of Pennsylvania Museum. Another's at the Petrie Museum. And then I'm sure there's more on that Shabtis.com website. But we'll look at this one briefly. There it is. Nice little... Oh, you guys can't even literally see it. Literally, it's so small it's covering up my screen. Little faience Shabtis. So, was it probably buried originally in the tomb of Enhapi? Reeves points out that the coffins and the mummies of Duat Hathor Hanut Awe bear a close resemblance to those of Penejim I and Nojmet, all of which were disturbed by being processed by a necropoli official. He believes this indicates that all 3 mummies were originally buried together in the same tomb. Possibly WNA, whatever that means. And then it was reburied in DB320 sometime after year 11 of Shawshank the First. The website is not working properly. It is an old website. I don't think it's been updated in a very long time, but for some reason, every time I go to the actual website, when we started this series, it was fine. But recently, the website it's not totally broken. It loads so slowly, and if it loads at all. There's just something wrong with it, unfortunately. I have a fear, because this is a great website. I have a fear that this is not, I'm hoping this is not the same thing that happened with OsirisNet, but it might be. Unfortunately, OsirisNet was a really great resource for a lot of smaller tombs, and it appears that the gentleman who ran it got sick, and nobody's been able to sort of get the rights for the website. So it's still been down. It's probably been over a year, maybe. But yeah, this one was working when we first started this. It only stopped working for me at least, in December. I haven't gotten it to work when we tried to do this discussion in December. But before that, it was fine. Which tells me how long we've been doing this discussion, because it's 50 mummies we got to get through. Okay, I wanted to see if there was another picture. of her. Oh, here's a picture of the plate really close up. Yeah, God, they did a good job restoring her. But here's the plate. Look how nice that looks. Looks very nice. All right, different mummy. All right, let's keep it going. Wow, I'm sleepy already. Excuse me, chugging water. My apartment is just like so dry. And the problem is that I have a humidifier in my room because I feel like I can't breathe at night because my nose is all clogged up because it's so cold. But I also have half my plants in the room with me. And so I was telling my therapist the other day, I was like, I think the plants are absorbing all of the moisture I'm putting into the air. And she kind of laughed, and then she kind of looked at me and she's like, yeah, you're probably right. I'm using this humidifier and it's not even helping me. I'm very excited tomorrow. I'm hopefully getting a new master closet. If my mom can get all of the equipment needed, then we should have a new master closet tomorrow. Maybe not a new shoe rack, which is what I was hoping we could get both done, but maybe both. So, very excited. All right. I was gonna say, it hasn't rained in a long, long time, but it has snowed. But it's not melting. It's gonna melt like Wednesday. But it also snowed yesterday. Very briefly, but it did snow yesterday. When I left the museum where my cousin got promoted, it was like big chunky flakes coming down. And then it was much tinier later. It was big, like little chunky flakes of snow were coming down. Alrighty, so we have the next mummy is going to be Ma'at Kare Mut Em Het. Whole big long name, as per usual. So my therapist actually lives in Chicago, in Colorado, and she's like, you guys need to give our weather back to us. Apparently it is bone dry, no snow. She even said, I think, a threat of wildfires. I don't know if she lives in Denver, but I think she lives somewhere in Colorado. And she said, it's been crazy. Then you gotta come up here, Mark. No, I'm sure skiing is awful wherever the closest ski resort is to here. It's just all ice. Yeah. 4.5 years. I have, sometimes. Depends on, there's lots of different types of them. Yeah, Oxford's cool. But I love snow, so I like to live places where it snows. Ow. Just bit the fuck out of my tongue. I literally just bit the entire bottom part of my tongue. Ow. That fucking hurt. Alrighty. So, Ma'at Kare Mut Em Het is a god's wife of Amun, which you'll notice is a very common title for these women of the 21st dynasty. It doesn't necessarily mean it's actually like a high priest of Amun. It usually means that she's the wife of the high priest of Amun, who in this case is king in this southern area. And so she's the daughter of High Priest Penejum I, who was the de facto ruler. And Duat Hathor Hanut Awe was her mother, which I also forgot to mention. She is the daughter of Ramses the 11th, the last ruler of the 20th dynasty. So I don't know. She was not married, but she still got that title, God's wife of Amun, which I think you could also get if your father was the high priest of Amun. So I guess that's where she would have gotten it from. Then, as such, she was the second most powerful person in Egypt after Pharaoh. So it was a very powerful position. It wasn't necessarily a full religious one, if that makes sense. All right, so Reeves, you know what I'm realizing? Her face has been restored too. Huh. I never realized that. You can tell her face has been restored. I had no idea that any of these mummies got restored. So Reeves states that the mummy of Ma'at Kare Mut-em-Hat had been disturbed and mentions that only the wrappings of her right arm were still... mentions that only the wrappings on her right arms were slit open by thieves searching for valuables. Smith, who examined the mummy in June 1909, describes the ancient damage as being much more extensive in nature, saying that Ma'at Kare's shroud had been ripped from forehead to pelvis. That's much worse than just one arm. Extreme Makeover Mummy Edition is genuinely hysterical. Her left forearm was broken. Her hand had been badly damaged, one being particularly broken off, or practically broken off. Smith records that Ma'at Kare's face had been painted with a yellow ochre, probably in imitation of the skin color used by artists when depicting aristocratic women on wall paintings. And a gum-like material which adhered to the linen shroud. So yellow ochre and this gum material, which would essentially equal paint. If you didn't know, like, most paints, both in ancient Egypt and, to be honest, like, up until very, very recently, most paints were made from some sort of pigment, a powdered pigment, mixed with a gum. Gum Arabic or acacia gum is going to be a really common one that ancient Egyptians use, and even modern people use, even to this day, modern people. So essentially it's a yellow paint that they created and they painted over her face. He describes the linens used to wrap Ma'at Kare as being superior quality to any he had encountered in mummies from the preceding dynasties. He also states that the body cavity was filled with sawdust and the neck had been packed with fat, possibly butter, mixed with soda, so not actual soda, but obviously some sort of powder, in order to give the mummy a more lifelike appearance. Butter? Butter is not fun. Ma'at Kare was found in her original coffin. This beautiful outer coffin had gilded left hand, the right hand was missing, and had originally been designed to include some type of forehead decoration which is no longer present. The holes are clearly visible above the forehead of the portrait mask of the outer coffin, indicating that some sort of decorative element may have been placed there. Yeah, packed with butter is fucking insane. Also, it's just very funny because I just never really realized that they probably had butter. Like butter is, I know, essentially just like fat from milk solids, which they had milk, and they've definitely had like fat, but it's just weird to think that I didn't realize they sort of had butter. Where was I? The coffin and coffin board had both the gilded hands and faces missing. A leather thong was found around her head, which was probably used to hold an amulet that is now missing. Thong is not the right word to use there. I think they just mean a strap of some sort. 3 gold and silver rings were found on each thumb, and x-rays revealed a presence of a gold plate covering the embalming incision. A funerary papyrus of Ma'at Kare exists, but is not mentioned by Reeves in his list of objects found with the high priestess in DB320, perhaps indicating that this had been stolen by the Abd el-Rasuls and subsequently sold on the antiquities market. So I wanted to see what this photo is. So this is the damaged coffin. It's hard to tell, but the whole face and the hands have just been like kind of sawed off. And then this is her in the thing. And this other little mummy, which we'll talk about in a second. This is a photo of her papyrus. Oh yeah, that's the one on her Wikipedia. It's a very nice one. Very beautiful, honestly. This is very interesting, having her, but she's got beautiful, like, honestly, queen headdress. She has like the vulture headdress with the double uraei, the snake and the vulture, and a beautiful wig and a menot. She is wearing a menot on this side. It's hard to, you can't see it on the back, but she's wearing it in the front, which technically it should be on the other side. It also appears that she might be wearing earrings. So a menot is a necklace that is very religious for priestesses of Hathor. And it essentially, it is a massive, let me pull up a picture. It's a massive bundle of beads in the front. And then there's a what is it called? A weight in the back that's in this particular shape. It looks like a keyhole, but it's not meant to be a keyhole. But this is a menot. So it's this big bundle of beads, and then it has this piece that would go down your back. And it definitely appears that she's wearing something in that similar shape, but usually you wear it in the back. Oh, this is a giant menot. This piece, and then this is connected to a broad collar in the front, which is an interesting way of depicting it. But there's not a lot of great depictions of it. Well, there's not a lot of preserved depictions. This one is at the Met, I think, and it's probably slightly recreated, but it at least gives you some indication. The counterpoise. Yeah. Counterpoise is what it's called, is the part in the back. I was looking for, oh yeah, here's a good version. Oh, why are you taking me to Instagram? Why are you taking me to Facebook? No. Okay, well, here's a cow wearing it. Here's Hassat wearing it. But what I want is that picture of Hathor. Can we just have one that's not Facebook, please? Here we go. Ah! So this is the goddess Hathor, and she's wearing this, and you can see the counterweight comes from behind on her back underneath her wig. So it's a necklace that was tied with with priestesses of Hathor and the goddess Hathor, and it was sometimes thought to be shaken, similar to a sistrum. Like the beads, but it was a pretty important piece of jewelry in the earlier like New Kingdom, I would say. But yeah, I don't know if that's 100% what she's wearing, but it looks like it, but technically that portion should be on the back. So it's odd if that is what she's wearing. I mean, no, papyruses are too expensive for anybody to waste it on. Ostraca, though, maybe. But papyrus is too expensive for them to be like, I hate you on a papyrus and send it to your friend. They're not cheap. Well, it's the funny part about it is that they're not cheap in Egypt right now because they try to scam me for $200. The other thing is that like all the papyrus museums are all claiming to be the only one because everybody uses banana leaves, which is true. There are a lot of papyri that are like technically made out of banana leaves instead of actual papyrus. I think technically this one that I have with the 3 people, I think that one might be made out of banana leaves because everything else I have is much more pale. It's much more light color. Like this, even this one behind me. Those 2 I bought together, so I think both of these are actually banana leaves, and I have 2 on the other wall that are, I think, real papyrus, or trying to be real papyrus. Yeah, it depends on the texture. It should be pretty stiff. If it's a little soft, it might be banana leaves. And honestly, it's like the papyrus that I have is like, that I think is real papyrus. Actually, let me show you guys what I have. Give me 2 seconds. Uh-oh. Where's my papyrus? What? Uh-oh. That's not good. Where did it go? I can't find it. Oh wait, is it in here? Ah! No. What the fudge? Well, that's not good. I can't find it. Where did it go? I don't know where it is. I can't find it. I have like a tube of papyrus. It should be in that closet. Dang it. What? Where is it? It's got to be in that closet. There's no other place it could go, but... Well. Hello, Ornis. Welcome on in. Now I gotta go find that tomorrow. That's gonna have to add to my list. It's on a specific tube, and I can't find the tube. I'll find it later. But yeah, most of the papyrus that I think, quote unquote, is real papyrus is a light tan color. Pretty stiff. And I will say that when the pieces that I have, the edges have been cut very flat and straight. These banana leaf ones that I have edges. Like, and not every single one is straight, I will say, but these ones have little frayed edges, and it's soft. It's like genuinely softer than some of the other like papyrus that I have. Probably not. If you go to the Ashmolean, it depends if you'd be able to see somebody. Yeah, if you bend real papyrus, it should crack. Yeah, it's much more stiff. But yeah, you'd have to probably make an appointment with somebody at the Ashmolean. I would suspect. This is not even the page we want it to be on. Papyrus is mainly stored in actual scrolls. It doesn't appear that it had like any, you know how when you see a scroll, like in, if you can, Dom, send a picture in the Discord and I'll tell you whether or not it looks like the two, like I just have 2 very distinct types that I can tell one of them might be banana leaves. And I will say, I guess here's the other thing. The ones that I bought that I think are banana leaves, I bought those in England. I bought those in Camden Market. All of the other pieces that I have, I thrifted which in some cases they were professionally framed. So there's 2 behind me here that were professionally framed. Ow, I just shocked myself. I can't. Oh, you did buy yours in Camden Market. We talked about this. Yeah, send a picture if you can. This one here, this is one of them. And this one back here is one of them. Just send a picture. I probably could tell in frames, because if you look at the distinctive color between this one and this one, that's the thing. That's like what it is. But again, like a lot of these I got, like somebody else got them professionally framed, which to me, being from a slightly rich area, tells me this was a rich person who went to Egypt and came back and got it framed for me. So who knows? Who knows, and who knows how they are actually made, and if they actually are made the way that ancient Egyptians made them. Who knows? All right. I think we are. Yeah, apparently don't get Egyptian stuff there. That was the guy who was like he kind of was weird to me. It was like, I was an Egyptologist back in Egypt, and I'm like, okay, then why are you here peddling Egyptomania wares? I think now that I'm thinking about it, he asked me for my number. I went there all the time. It was such a I had so much fun in there. I liked Borough Market slightly better for food. Like, I can't remember any of the specific food that I got in Camden Market, but I remember the specific food I got in Borough Market. Okay. So, the other interesting thing, which if you look at this picture of Ma'at Kare, is that the body is from here to here, and there's this little tiny bundle that is kind of tucked into the head portion of this coffin. And it intrigued everyone for a little bit. So, a small, neatly wrapped mummy was found in the coffins with the high priestess. You can see it here on the left. Since Smith had observed that Ma'at Kare's breasts were enlarged, as though she had been lactating, at least he thinks it's so, he concluded that she had died in childbirth and assumed that the small mummy was that of her child, as had Maspero earlier. Mistakenly believing that the name Mut-Emhet, which appeared on Ma'at Kare's coffin, designated this child, that they were separate people. Later, it was discovered that the name Mut-Emhat was the name of Ma'at Kare herself. Harris and Weeks also affirmed that Ma'at Kare died in childbirth and added that the embalmers had packed her abdomen in a way calculated to emphasize that fact. However, their x-rays revealed that the tiny mummy was not a human child, but was a female Hamadras baboon, perhaps included with Ma'at Kare for ritual purposes. Not all Egyptologists agree that Ma'at Kare died in childbirth. Salima Ikram and Aidan Dodson point out that her mummy's quote-unquote pregnant appearance could have resulted unintentionally from the slow swelling of the embalming fluids, or the embalming materials. And the official catalog disputes the theory that she died while giving birth. Hopefully, if they took an x-ray, you could see if she actually ever gave birth, which Mark would know, that there are sometimes indications on the bones when you have given birth. Borough Market's really cool. It's on the South Shore. It's the TikTok famous places that are there is like these guys who sell strawberries, like really fresh strawberries covered in melted chocolate. But there are some like really... I hope that place is still there, and I can't remember what it was called, but I was obsessed with this one wrap place. I think it was like a Afro-Caribbean something. I don't know what it was, but it tasted so good. And granted, it was 2016. It's been literally fucking 10 years since I've been there. Actually, literally been 10 years, because I was there from January to June. But it was so good. I once went and I bought 2 because I wanted to have a second one for the next day. I think about that place a lot. I don't know if it's still there, and I don't even remember the name of it. I probably have it written down somewhere. So yeah, no little baby, but a little baboon. I think the baboon was back here. There it is. The little baboon. Also, if you know, like, a baboon, this is a big package. This is not a newborn baby-esque package. So I'm surprised people did not think that, did not think that it was not that. I think this is her here, but obviously they definitely have done restoration on her. And look at all the wrappings. I also think she just may have been a larger woman. There's just something about it. Different type of cash, Slater. And this is apparently her hand, but the hand that's been displaced, but you can actually see the rings. The rings on her thumb. I'm gonna look at the papyrus on my phone. Yours does have the darker color than the ones that I think are banana leaves, but I will say they're cut much cleaner than mine. Mine don't have nice cut edges. Yours do look very similar to mine. Actually, your paintings on yours are much prettier than mine. And you actually have the names of the artists, which is cool. I love your Akhenaten one. I don't have an Akhenaten one. Though I have that same image on a tiny plate that I bought in Egypt. Oh, they're the glow-in-the-dark ones? I don't think it means anything, but it definitely is just like... That is it's a very common tourist tactic. I've seen these videos where there's apparently one of these papyri museums where they take you into this like smaller room, and then you look at the papyri and then they turn off the lights and it glows in the dark and it shows you a different image. Does yours show you a different image in the glow in the dark portion, or is it just highlighting the actual image? No, those are very, very typical tourist papyri. It shows Nefertiti and Tut, yeah. It's very, very typical of like a tourist trap one. But yeah, I can't tell. Yours look like an in-between. Yours look like they have the same darker color than mine do. But yours just look nicer. And the painting is a much nicer quality than mine. It could be. It could be papyrus. I don't know how papyrus darkens. Like, I don't know modern papyri if it darkens as much. So, not sure. All right, what time is it? 10:15. Alrighty, I think we will. What I was hoping is that they would... Oh yeah, Mahat Kari's coffins. We didn't look at her coffins. Oh wow, beautiful. We don't have a color photo? What a beautiful crown. You probably came from Reno. It's possible. A lot of these things, like they're definitely super common to find thrifting. Almost all of mine are from thrifting. Like, literally only 2 of them are not thrifted. It seems like it is a common practice to sort of go to one of these papyri museums, with quotes, museums, and essentially not get scammed, but get forced into sort of buying a piece. And then people get it professionally framed, and then they're like, I don't like it anymore, and they send it, and they give it up. Ooh, a beautiful image of, looks like Hathor on the inside of the coffin. Oh, this is, I love her coffin. Sorry, when they saw it in color, I realized which one it is. This is one of my favorite coffins. I always forget about it, but her face is just so pristine. Ugh. It is one of my favorite coffins. The blue hair with the double uraei. Oof. It is a lovely, lovely coffin. Look how serious she looks. Oh. So lucky. But you can see where the 3 little holes where there used to be at least probably double uraei. She is very stately, which is so interesting because she was not a queen. She was the daughter of like essentially a high priest of Amun that claims a throne, but she didn't marry anybody. It seemed like she was just this high god's wife. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, on Facebook Marketplace, there's this, the amount of weird ass Egypt things that we find on Facebook Marketplace is high. There's some crazy things. Alrighty, let us look at Masa Harta. What time is it? 10:18. Okay, I think we can probably get through at least 2 more. Oh, I accidentally closed out of. Accidentally closed out of this. Down in DB320. Scroll all the way down. Masa Harta. So Masa Harta is a very interesting. He's got a very interesting name in comparison to a lot of ancient Egyptian names. But he was also one of these high priests of Amun who then sort of took the throne in southern Egypt. So his father was Penegem I, who we've already looked at. And Penegem I, I also forgot to mention, was one of the first people to declare himself pharaoh. Like Harry Horde didn't really do that, and Pionk didn't really do that, but Penegem I was that first person to sort of declare himself pharaoh. He declared himself pharaoh like about 20 years into his reign, which is kind of interesting. And then Masa Harta essentially now becomes the high priest of Amun. So his mother was probably Duat Hathor Hanut Awi, who we looked at already. And his sister was probably the one that we just looked at, right? I think, yeah. Ma'at Kare. So maybe she got married to him, but it's not totally clear. His wife is likely to be the singer of Amun Tayu Heret, whose mummy is also found in the Deir el-Bahri Kashet. We're going to talk about that. And he may have had a daughter as well. So Masa Harta was responsible for the restoration of the mummy of Amenhotep I in his 16th regnal year. He is also mentioned in Theban graffiti number 1572, which is very interesting. Oh. His mummy's at the Mummification Museum, but I saw... I went to the Mummification Museum. I don't remember seeing him. Well, now I just have to bring up some photos of the Mummification Museum and see what he Luxor Mummification Museum. For those who've never seen the Mummification Museum. Oh my god, that's him! I didn't realize it was him. There he is. He's got such a nice shroud with Osiris on the top, and his coffin is beautiful. Do I not have any more pictures of him? Nope. Oh, yes. Mummy and box of the coffin of High Priest of Amun-Re and the General of the Army Masa-Harti, son of Penejam I, Deir al-Bahri. Well, cool. I've seen him in person. I did not know that. Masa-Harti's mummy was unwrapped by Ghassan Maspero on June 30th, 1886. It is an unusual looking mummy due to its rotund appearance, which may have been exaggerated due to the expansion of embalming materials, chiefly sawdust, resin, and strips of linen underneath the skin. G. Elliott Smith described it as having grotesque... Oh, well, I'm not reading that fucking word because that's very obvious. If anyone hasn't figured this out, Grafton Elliott Smith is a huge racist and huge... what's the word for it? Eugenics dude. Measuring skulls and the like. So, I'm not going to read the word that he wrote for this man's appearance as a fucking mummy who's been, his body's been tampered with, obviously. He notes that the face was painted with red ochre of the same color as that employed for representations of men in wall paintings. Smith also records that the hands of the mummy, although placed in a manner intended to cover the pubic region, failed to reach far enough due to his corpulence. Oh my god. His stoutness also necessitated a change in the position of the embalming incision, which in his case was parallel to Poupart's ligament instead of higher up the abdomen. Thank you, Dash. I'm not sitting up correctly. As soon as I get my new... I think when I get my new payment from TikTok from this month, from January, I'm going to buy a new chair and test it out to see if I like it before I get rid of this chair. I was shrimping. This chair just like... I have a sway back, which makes most sitting in chairs hard, but if I don't consciously like hold my body up, I will just slowly start doing this. It just is like genuinely natural. I do have one in mind. It's not like a super great one. I mean, this is a freaking, what's it called? Secret Lab chair. This should be the nicest like gaming chair ever, but it's very uncomfortable in the back area. So I'm not getting rid of it. Like, I'm probably gonna sell it, although this freaking side thing has completely torn. I'm contemplating honestly buying, I think I can buy a new one of this, because that's the only thing that this is kind of broken. There's one like slight screw, or not screw, I think spring that's coming out, but literally otherwise this chair is in like perfect condition. But yeah, send it to me. I have certain parameters in mind, but absolutely, yeah, send it to me. But yeah, I want a tall chair, but I need a wider chair for my big fat ass. I mostly need like a wider chair, and I would like potentially a chair that I could cross my legs in. This one I can't, but my feet are constantly always up on a step stool. Take me to your bed, Dash. I can't even laugh through it. Oh, I need a drink. All right, we are going to get an ad in a little bit. I think when the ad starts, I'm going to do a quick bathroom break. So I think we can still get through like 2 to 3 more pharaohs. But I need a potty break. Funny story from yesterday when I was hanging out with my cousin's kids. We went to a brewery that we reserved a space at after his promotion. I asked one of my little cousin's kids for a tater tot because she was eating tater tots. And I was going to go home and eat like full dinner, but I asked her if I could have a tater tot. And she gave me a tater tot, which was very gracious of her. And then a little girl that is not a relative of mine, but is just a family friend, hands me another tater tot. And I'm like, you don't have to give me a tater tot, hun. Like, I don't know you. Like, you don't have to give me one. And then Molly, my cousin's daughter, proceeds to give me another tater tot, and then a little boy next to us proceeds to literally dump all of his tater tots into my hands. And I was like, I cannot take your dinner. Do not give me all your tater tots. But genuinely, it was so sweet, and I was just laughing so hard. And none of the parents noticed, and I was just like, I feel so bad that I have now taken like 15 tater tots. I ended up giving it to one of the other kids, but they just kept giving me tater tots. It was so nice of them, and it made me very like happy. And they were having fun with it. They were like, put your hand behind your back, close your eyes. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I wonder what it could be. And I'm like, oh, it's a tater tot. And then at one point, one of the girls gave me, I was like, oh, it's half a tater tot. And then she gave me the other half of the tater tot. It was so funny. All right, I'm gonna have a quick bathroom break. I will be right back. Ha ha ha! Claire won the battle royale! What are you talking about? Used to like do Finky. Gotta look it up. Oh my god, they look so good. They look so good. Tater tots, I'm wondering, are these like mashed? Maybe? Oh my god, all this is in Polish. All the tater tots have, usually they are minuscule chopped potatoes or like little tiny strips of potatoes. Those like either looked like a fried mashed potato ball or something else. They're much more smooth. Tater tots are all craggly because they're like tiny like micro little cubes of potatoes, which are pretty good. Now I want fries. They could be. I know about fried like mashed potato balls. I think it's actually a Hungarian tradition too. Although they have potato dumplings, which are not a meal or appetizer, but are a dessert. And they are fried, and they have an entire apricot or plum inside. But they're called potato dumplings. What is it? It's crumpli. Crumpli is potato. And so then it's either apricot. Yeah, pierogies are good. Actually, no, I've never had a pierogi. That's a lie. I know pierogies are good. I've never had one, but yeah, those are a little bit different as well. But yeah, potato dumplings have a full fruit inside of them. But I made them once when I went to Austria to meet my cousins, my distant cousins in where was it? It was Bad Fischau is the town that they live in. It's just outside of Vienna. Cute, very cute little town. I couldn't even believe how cute it was. But beautiful little town. All right, we're back. I can't stop yawning. Okay, I swear we can get through a couple more. I don't have work for the next 2 days, so I can't remember where we were. Okay. Masaharta's mummy had been disturbed by the Abd el-Rasuls, who stole a papyrus from it. Otherwise, the mummy appears to have been intact. The impressions of a pectoral ornament remain in the hardened resins on the mummy's chest, and Reeves also mentions some kind of braces, which were perhaps used to strengthen or support the mummy in an upright position. Or brace is described as the lower part of a stucco-covered pole inserted at the time the mummy was originally wrapped. Typically, the term braces usually refers to the strips of linen. Oh, interesting. One gold finger stall remained in place on the middle finger of his right hand. I don't think you can see it from that photo, but you can see where these ties have like completely dug into his skin. The high priest was found in his original coffin. The gilded right hand was missing. You can see one hand's missing from here, from the outer coffin. And both gilded hands and faces were missing from the inner coffin and the coffin board. Found with Macerata was the remains of what may have been a leather shrine. What does a leather shrine mean? Reburial in DB320. Reeves conjecture that Mahacerata's mummy was placed in DB320 before the 11th year of Shawshank I, the time at which the Inhapi group of mummy was transferred to this tomb. Since his mummy was plundered, unlike the mummies of Penejam II group, Reeves thinks that it's unlikely that DB320 was the original burial place of Masaharta. So let's see. I think he's in here somewhere. He's not there. There he is. So let's take a closer look. Oh, is that a beard? It's very hard to tell. Look at his skin. It's very intriguing. But you can definitely see where something was here, and even something. The wrapping, like, I guess that is the expanding of the body because of those embalming materials. And I think there's the finger stall, but you can kind of barely see it on his middle finger of his right hand. Yeah, that is his right hand. Yeah, it looks like leather. Yeah, so supposedly because of this weird mixture that they're putting in the body to make it look full, which they said was sawdust, resin, and like linen, like chopped up pieces of linen that they're sort of stuffing in the body, that maybe it's mixing with just like the decomposition that like should be gone. It should have, if they salted the body and dried the body correctly, it shouldn't really be there. But obviously you can see this trend with all of these 21st Dynasty pharaohs, that something, although they are adding all these things, something's going on. And they're mixing something else that's affecting them. But yeah, you can see where it just like, his body is just like pressed up against these straps in that case. In a way, Mr. Cheese, yes. But specifically get up and walk around the afterlife. They did not believe that they would come back to life in the real world, but the reason that they wanted their bodies preserved was so that they were able to get up and go around the afterlife, which is why they did all of this to kind of mummify people. And it's also why, on an even simpler task, they have the opening of the mouth ceremony. And so the opening of the mouth ceremony would have been done right before burial, and the priest would essentially put this sort of ritual item up against the mouth of the mummy and say this kind of prayer that is sort of saying, now you can talk, now you can eat, now you can do all of these things, even though you are deceased and you are a mummy. To allow, essentially, to sort of say, you're allowed to go and do all of the normal bodily functions in the afterlife. And they saw that as a necessity so that they could actually have that afterlife that they really wanted. Addicted got corn nuts. Got ranch corn nuts. So funny. Okay. Beautiful coffin though. Absolutely beautiful. This is the time period in this, hello Addicted, I saw your corn nuts. How do you like the ranch taste? I will say I've had the corn nut branded corn nuts and I find them too small and too hard for my teeth, which is why I specifically only get the Trader Joe's ones, because they're a little bit bigger and puffier. But how do you like the ranch taste? Does it taste like ranch? The coffins, they taste of nothing. They do kind of taste like nothing. I've concluded that corn nuts don't taste like a lot. That they taste salty. And that I like the satisfying crunch. Which is why when I get a stale one, I get mad. But I've realized they don't taste like much. Yeah, if Trader Joe's... And you didn't even get any ranch flavor. That sucks. Yeah, maybe try the barbecue ones. Maybe those are better. The thing that Egyptologists like to say with third intermediate and late period coffins, mainly third intermediate period, which is the time period we're looking at, this is the time period where they threw all the shit on the coffin. Like, they hated negative space. There is not a single piece of negative space on these coffins. You can even see, like, the arms are decorated with all of these, like, gods. And there's just hieroglyphs stuffed everywhere. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And the other thing that you do see in these third intermediate coffins is they have this dark reddish tone, like you can see here, or they have a dark black resinous color because they also poured resin on top of the coffins. I'm not sure, Thundercat. It's a possibility. I did watch the video. I would rather see that study be put into a peer-reviewed journal rather than a YouTube video. There's pluses and minuses that I see. The unfortunate thing about all of those the main pyramid building theories is that they only talk about, they only concern the Great Pyramid of Giza, and so I think certain pyramids that would have worked well with, but I'm not sure about other pyramids, if that makes sense. Yeah, these are very, very detailed coffins. Ironically, Mr. Cheese, which I do have that book on the shelf literally behind me. I've never read it. I am not the best at reading the books that I own. But I do have it on the shelf behind me. I want to see on TikTok how close you can. Oh, you guys, you can't even see it. It's right here. I was going to say, it's literally just off camera. You can't tell. I can't. I thought you were calling me out because I literally have it behind me. Ahmed is about to eat my soul. But let's read the Book of the Dead just in case. Yeah. The corn nuts brand. It's chewing on small rocks. They're just not as, they're not as puffy. They're not as puffy as these ones. Which reminds me, we're about to finish this bag. Like, there definitely are hard ones in there, in these, but I can tell that they are more puffy. And I will say, one of our past interns was, oh, I missed you. One of my past interns at the Archaeology Museum was from Peru. And I asked her about these because she's been living in the United States for a little bit. And she goes, they're not perfect, but they're real. They are good. They are close. And I'm like, success, success, success. That these are close to actual Peruvian corn nuts. I will take it. That was a good one. I like the ones that are very craggly and have a gap in the middle. That one is also very tasty, salty. Because they just crunch so well. Yeah, unfortunately Trader Joe's is not a thing. But actual corn nuts might be. Yeah, I don't know. I know that you can order them from Amazon, at least in the United States. Because I did that when they ran out of corn nuts for 2 months. But they're stupid expensive. They're like $1.29 a bag at Trader Joe's. And I think I paid like $20 to $30 for 4 bags. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of these like very readable books that like are meant for the public, the general public. It's kind of hard to figure out where you kind of fall from. That is true, Dom. Yeah, there's a lot of those different types of places. If you want to, I have not read this one myself, but my friend who has studied Cleopatra, she recommended this book to me. There's a book called Cleopatra Histories, Dreams and Distortions. It is a little bit more academic, but I don't think it's too academic. And I've heard from her that it is a pretty good book that kind of dissects a lot of the stuff that they talk about with Cleopatra VII. All right. Next dude. Tayu Heret. So Tayu Heret, I want to check on who she is. Oh, she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Well, fine. She's the possible wife of Masaharta, so I guess she's not that important, which sucks. Anytime. So she is the possible wife of High Priest Masaharta. The mummy of Tayu Heret was unwrapped by Gaston Maspero on June 29th, 1886. The resin-coated linen carapace, which covered her, was allowed to remain in place. On July 6, 1909, G.E. Smith examined the mummy and discovered that the resin used to fashion this carapace had been mixed with sawdust, an ingredient Smith had not previously seen employed in this fashion. He removed enough of the hardened linen to expose the face, but had to leave most of it in place to avoid damaging the mummy. Smith noted that Tayu Heret's cheeks had been packed in order to flesh them out. He did not specify the pack material used in this case, but he describes it being similar to that employed in the mummies of Ma'at Kare and Duat Tathor Henut Awi A, which we knew is sawdust and resin. Tayu Heret's nostrils had been covered with discs of wax. A type of nose guard had been fashioned of wax for the purpose of preventing the nose from becoming flattened and distorted by the bandages. Interesting. She had also been given a set of artificial stone eyes, and her right eye had also been covered with a wax plate. Wax was additionally employed to fill the spaces between the lips, which Smith described as being widely parted. Tayu Heret's ears were covered with hair, which Smith thought was mostly from a wig. Tayu Heret's own hair was mostly white, indicating that she had died as an elderly woman. Smith also notes that insects, I can't read, insects had damaged the skin of her face, especially that on the forehead. This might indicate that an unusually long period of time elapsed between her death and her embalming. However, her bandages also appeared to have been pitted with small holes, which could, oh yeah, you can see them. You can see them here. Which could have been caused by insects sometime after her embalming. Smith comments that the plate used to cover her embalming incision differs from the engraved plates usually employed during the 21st dynasty. It was plain and fusiform. I always forget what that word means. I've seen fusiform. Tapered at both ends. Similar to the plates used by embalmers of the 18th dynasty. Tayuheret was found in a double coffin set, which had been usurped from the chantress of Amun named Hatet. The gilded hands and face of both coffins were missing, and the inner coffin had been further damaged. The head and feet of her coffin board were missing. Reeves notes that only some broken Shopti boxes remained of Tayuheret's other funerary equipment. However, numerous Shoptis inscribed for her exist in private collections and museums, presumably from DB320. Many of these Shoptis were probably stolen by the Abd el-Rasuls and sold in the antiquities market. The photo at right shows the Shopti was auctioned in Christie's in 2012. Since Tayuheret's coffin and coffin board had been effaced in a manner similar to those of Masaharta and Ma'atkare Mut-Emhat, Reeves thinks that she was probably buried with them at some point prior to her reburial in DB320. Edward Loring interprets the coffin damage differently and argues that Tayuheret had not been interred with her supposed husband Masaharta or Ma'atkare Mut-Emhat, but had been originally interred elsewhere. All three mummies were found at the end of Chamber F in DB320 prior to the caching of the Inhapi group of mummies. Reeves dates this latter event to sometime after the year 11 of Shawshank the First. Let's look at a close-up. She was passed this way. She was this one. So yeah, you can see, I think this is that resinous material that's stuck on the back of her head, but he was able to get it off of the front of her head. But she's got some holes here on her face, unfortunately. And you can see that wax plug. The wax plug here, the wax plug on the nose, and the wax plug in the mouth. And yeah, there's a lot of holes in her wrappings. Oh yeah, her poor forehead. Oh. This wax plug is very interesting. You don't really see that employed in other mummies. Yeah, there's holes all over her mummy. All over the wrapping. Let's look at our coffins. Poor faces just ripped off. Very detailed though, third intermediate period, obviously. Oh yeah, and the face. So the other thing is the introduction of the coffin board, which you guys may not have heard of. So I think this is a third intermediate period, sort of, where essentially you have two coffins and a coffin board. You have the outer coffin and the outer coffin base and the outer coffin lid. You have the inner coffin base and the inner coffin lid. And then you have this coffin board, which is just a flat piece of wood that would have just laid on top of the body. And so essentially after you took off both lids, you would still have this coffin board on top. And then you would take that off and then the mummy would be underneath. This is sort of a slightly new introduction at this time. And it's just sort of an extra layer. And I think it is a third intermediate period. We'll find out when I eventually do my lecture on coffin styles throughout ancient Egyptian history, which is on the list for this year to be covered in our lecture series. For sure. Let's see if this works. I have a feeling this is not going to work. It's okay. So many. All right. We have now made it to Penejum II. Here we got Penejum II. And one of his bracelets. Ooh, very pretty. Where is this? Oh, it's at its permanent collection. It's at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, but this was when it was on display in 2024 in the Ramses and the Gold of the Pharaohs exhibit. It's beautiful. I've never seen that before. Not curled up in a ball yet, Dash. And then his mummy. So, Penejum again is this high priest of Amun. He's this de facto ruler of the south. Do we know his parents? So we're kind of jumping a little bit ahead of, we're looking at jumping slightly ahead of the people that we were just talking about, I think. The problem is that because these guys are not pharaohs, it's hard to see what so this appears to be the list of high priests of Amun of this time. So you got Herhor, you got Pianki, you got Penejum I. And you can see it says he's from this time period to this time period, he's the high priest, and then from this time period to this time period, he's the king. Then you get Masaharta. Then you get maybe a guy named Jed Kansu Euf Ankh. But possibly not a king. Then you got Menkeper Ure. Yes, Dash, what is your question? Then you get Smedes. Then you get Smedes the second. Then you get Penejum the second. Then you get Susenes the third. You get Input. Then you get Shawshank. But I can't remember if this is Shawshank the first. God, there's so many of them. There's Osterkorn the second. And there's Takelot the second. Yes and no, Dash. There is, ooh, thank you, Dom. Ooh, thank you. That looks very interesting. I'm actually definitely going to look at that. So, the Books of the Dead didn't necessarily have a template, but all of the spells, we can assume that a scribe would have some sort of example with all of the spells, because they're not numbered like we have numbered them. But a lot of the spells are repeated in different Books of the Dead. We don't have the best record of Books of the Dead. We have quite a few. We don't have quite a few complete ones. But it appears that they were customized in that you would be able to go to the scribe and you would be able to pick and choose different spells. And so there is a template. It does probably, I'm not 100% sure I think it probably follows the same sort of path, but then each of the spells is kind of individualized. There are, I believe, certain ones that are always included. Books of the Dead, the best way that I can describe them is it's a cheat sheet for the afterlife. It is a way that you can figure out, yes, there are full copies, Papyrus of Ani is one of the full copies for sure. There are quite a few full copies. It's just because Books of the Dead are only from like the New Kingdom-ish on. I will say also, these spells come from the coffin texts of the Middle Kingdom, which come from the pyramid texts of the Old Kingdom. Some of these spells have carried over the entire time, or at least closely carried over. And it's the best way to describe it is it's a cheat sheet for the afterlife. It is going to give you sort of step-by-step instructions to how to get to the afterlife. It's also going to tell you one of the most important things you need to know in the afterlife is that you will encounter demons, and you have to get past those demons. And to get past those demons, you have to know their name. One of the most important things that ancient Egyptians understood was that if you know somebody's name, you could have control over them, especially in the afterlife. And so by having your cheat sheet of your Book of the Dead that has all the names of the demons, you can go through all of the gates. You can go through all of the steps to get to that. But the ancient Egyptians had to. Also, 68. Wow. Yes, it probably was. In Egypt, both men and women wore eye makeup. A special black eye makeup called kohl was made from ground up raw metals mixed with oil. Not metals, but yeah. The Egyptians believe it had magical healing powers and could restore bad eyesight and fight eye infections. Egyptians also used face rouge for the cheeks and lips, face powder, and paint for fingernails and hair dyes. All true, except the metal. I can't remember what. Kohl is either made out of charcoal or galena, which I guess technically is sort of a metal, but not really. I was gonna say, they did believe that it had a lot of medicinal effects for eyes. But I don't know if you want to start rubbing some charcoal in your eyes. Dom. So, Penedrum II. He's definitely an interesting one. This mummy. I guess I'll say the Egyptians never proved that it fixed their eyesight. And I think fixing their eyesight is not the proper term. It was to stave off eye diseases, which, like, yes, can make you go blind, but not like improve your eyesight. Like, they're not glasses. If that makes sense. Alright, so the mummy of Penedrum II was in virtually intact condition when it was found. See recent color photos here. Hello, Josie, welcome on in. Recent color photos. Oh, that's not what I expected. I'm so sorry. What is going on? Why? What? Why is it that color? I'm scared to click the next one. Alright, well, at least that one looks a little better. What is up with the color? I do not know. We'll probably have to read it, and it'll probably tell us why his face looks like that. I'm gonna put my chair back a little bit. Okay. Hello, Fable. Welcome on in. We're talking about some mummies. Let's talk about this mummy. Yes, we are talking about the DB320 cache for like the 5th time because we have 50 mummies to go through. We're very close, but I feel like we still probably need at least one more stream. That's a good question. Let's see if it says on his Wikipedia, because I do not know. Oh, you know what? We can look. Let's see if Pharaoh SE has it. Because I His Wikipedia. These pharaohs are not, they're not real pharaohs. Actually, I don't even know if they're going to be included in here. They're not real pharaohs. They're actually pharaohs. They're... no, they're not included on here. These are high priests of Amun that were de facto rulers of the south during the 21st dynasty, during this dynasty. But unfortunately they are not considered actual pharaohs, and so they do not technically get the recognition that they might. Let's see. Ooh, wait, I want this book. Complete Royal Families of Ancient Egypt? Please. That did not work at all. Side quest. I want this book. Oh, it's on archive. Why would it be on archive? It's from 2004. I want it. $51. Well, oh, I can log in and borrow it. I've done that before, actually. It's not that bad on archive. All right, sidetracked. Let's see if I can find out. Pened. Oh, meaning the pleasant one. It means the pleasant one. It's technically Pa-i-Nejem. That's how I should be saying it. Pa-i-Nejem. Oh, here we go. I got the whole, he got his whole prenomen. Thank you, Mummypedia. Or no, this is not Mummypedia. I don't know what this is. Ancient Egypt fandom. Ancient Egypt wiki. So his prenomen is Keper Ka-ure Setep en Amun, appearing manifestation of Re, chosen of Amun. Pinejem, Mary Amun, the pleasant one, beloved of Amun, and his Horus name is Connacht Kam-Waset, strong bull who appears in Thebes. He has the title of Generalissimo, which is like one of my favorite words ever because it just like rolls off the tongue so lovely. So nice. So yeah, it means the pleasant one. Which makes sense. No, you're good, Dom. So each pharaoh, actually I'll show you on here. We'll pick Shmendez, which is the guy we want to. So the royal titulary for most pharaohs, they have 5 different names. So a Horus name is one of the oldest names for a pharaoh, and has a falcon. So for Smedes, oh my god, this is the longest Horus name I've ever seen. For Smedes, his Horus name is Connacht, Mary Ra Senusur Amun Kepshef Sekamat, strong bull, beloved of Ra, whose arm Amun has strengthened in order to offer up Ma'at. Oh my god. Then they have a Nebti name, which is the Nebti is the 2 ladies. So it's Nekbet and Wajet, both representing, one representing the south, one representing the north. And so this guy's Nebti name is Sekhem Pehuti Hu Reki Uf Behatuef Hepet M. Powerful of might, who has struck down his opponents who flee from him, who has embraced by the means of something. Apparently his Nebti name is not complete, which is interesting. I don't think this guy is a super famous pharaoh, so. Oh, and then they also have a golden Horus name, which in this case is not really full, unfortunately. Keshef Denden, who drove away anger. And then you have the prenomen, which is your throne name. This is the name that most ancient Egyptians probably knew their pharaoh as. Possibly. And Pharaoh SE is a Swedish site? I didn't know that. That's fun. Good for them. Oh, .se is for Sweden? I wondered what SE was for the longest time. I didn't realize that's what it was for. Huh. I did not know SE was Swedish. I learn something new every day. This is a great website, though. So yeah, so this guy's throne name is Hedge, Kepper, Ra, Setep, and Ra. The dazzling one is the very manifestation of Ra. I just didn't realize SE was Sweden. I wouldn't have thought it was Sweden, so that's why it was SW. So if your prenomen is your throne name, your nomen is your birth name, your regular name. So in this case, this guy has a really freaking long one. Nisu Ba Neb Nej Mary Amun. He belongs to the Ram, the Lord of Mendes, beloved of Amun. And then a shorter version. Niusu Ba Nej Ba En Nejed Mary Amun. He belongs to the Ram, the Lord of Mendes, beloved of Amun. These ones are read from left to right. You always read into the faces of animals or humans. This one's hard to figure out which way to read, but you always read into the faces of their humans. Humans or animals. So this one gets written all the way there. It's not all the time, but like, so see this foot is always, the foot always will face the way that you're reading into it. But like these arms are vertical, but I guess, does this have a hand? Yeah, the hand will always, that one's a little bit harder to say, but yeah, it really is look for the animals. Yeah, read to them toes. Mark, you're the best. I was just gonna rent, you actually, I think if you borrow it from Archive, I think you can actually download it, but I'm not 100% sure, but you're the best. Almost all of them always will have a human. They will almost always have a human or an animal, mostly a bird. There's so many birds. So many birds. Otherwise, you just have to know which way glyphs are normally written. So the little head of the snake, I know he's always on that side. This hoe is always written that way, and you read into that portion. I'm trying to think. The folded cloth that will always fold to the right. So you just have to kind of know the glyphs, but most of the time there will always be an animal. But yeah, so that's what the prenomen and the nomen are. So yeah, his name meant the pleasant one. Which is nice because it's kind of funny that we don't have, he's like, not, he doesn't have a god's name in his name, which is interesting. Absolutely. I will always explain it. As I'm shrimping. Okay. I don't remember where I was. I don't think I actually started reading, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, he didn't start reading. Okay. Was virtually intact condition when he was found. It was unwrapped by Gaston Maspero on June 28th, 1886. Reeves notes that he had been wrapped in an Osiris shroud and that some of his wrappings had been replaced or patched up in some fashion by a mat made of halfa grass. There were several different inscriptions on his bandages, which we'll read in a second. And a number of amulets and articles of jewelry, including 2 bracelets, were also found in the wrappings of his body. So we saw one of them, but let's see this photo. Oh yeah, so they're 2 matching bracelets. Oh God, how gorgeous are these? If you missed the actual picture. Look how gorgeous. Lapis lazuli for sure. Some carnelian. This might be a lapis bead as well. And then it has this delicate little chain with 4 little pieces on it. These are gorgeous. They're little cylinder beads of gold, lapis, and looks like carnelian. But then there's this gold chain, which is so fascinating. And then 2 big lapis lazuli beads at the bottom. And looks like one of them broke off, but it looks like this has a little gold bead at the bottom as well. Fascinating. I've never seen like bracelets like that with little dangly parts, which is interesting. Ikram and Dodson note that Penejm's body was colored with ochre, perhaps red in color, like Masaharta, and stated that his body cavity had been packed with linen packets, some of which held sawdust while others contained the mummified viscera of the king. They also note that his arms had been packed with mud. Penejm II was found in a double coffin set. Both inner and outer coffins were intact, as was the coffin board which accompanied them. His remaining funerary equipment consisted of a shopti box. Reeve indicates that there may have been more than one. An Osiris figure, a papyrus, and canopic jars. A shopti belonging to Penejm II is currently in a private collection. And a third shopti of this king is in the collections of the Petrie Museum. Whether these shoptis were still in DB320 when Bursch first entered it, or had been stolen by the Abd al-Rasuls, or sold in the Antiquities Department, is presently unknown. So let's look at the coffins first. I'm excited to see these because they're supposedly all preserved. Ooh, how lovely. Very detailed, very nice. He's holding, it's very similar to the one that we looked at with the fat little ankh in his hand. Oh god, it's so detailed on the sides. Here's the inner coffin. So it depends. I think this one is in Cairo. And there's the coffin board. Ooh, a picture. Why does it have... Oh, the Jed pillar. That's really cool in his hand. Some close-up shots. Is this like a whole website? Let me see what it said. I think it said that it's still... Yeah, current location in the Cairo Museum. And I think the coffins are still there. Many of the mummies that we've already talked about got transferred to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. But then Masaharta, we said, was in the Mummification Museum in Luxor. That other one was missing, supposedly. But what was unclear... Oh, God, these are... Oh, I'm zoomed in. That's why. Reset. The other... Some of these ones that are not technically pharaohs are still probably at the Cairo Museum. What is this? Oh, the Russian Academy of Science and Egyptological Studies in Cairo? Interesting. Oh no. I must zoom in again so everyone may read. Okay, so there's still a little bit more. So the original burial is in DB320 in year 10 for Perit 20 of Siamun. There's a wall docket found at the bottom of the entrance of the shaft, which dates the burial of Penejm II. Because remember, I forgot, we got to this. This is the guy whose tomb this actually was meant to be for. This was meant to be Penejm II's tomb. I forgot about that. And it's probably because of that wall docket, that wall I think we are going to start it next, not this coming Thursday, but the next Thursday after it. I think we're going to take a week to do two versions of C14 dating, and then we'll get back and we'll do C14 dating on Tuesday, and we'll start Revelations in essentially 2 weeks. So when I read out these dates, essentially, I'll read out this wall docket for you, and we'll say, so this is how calendar, or how ancient Egyptians wrote dates. They wrote the year of a pharaoh's reign. Then they listed the month of the season. So the month, the season, and then the day. So they do a completely backwards calendar than typically. But they, instead of mentioning the number of the month, they specifically mention the number of the month, the number of the month in the season. So there's 3 seasons, 4 months each, 30 days each, which gets you to 360, and then there's 5 extra days. I think that's the math. I always forget. So in this case, the wall docket, so something that's written on the wall of DB320, says year 10, the 4th month of Peret. So Peret is one of the months, or one of the seasons. There's inundation, harvest, and what's the third one? Inundation and, oh God, every single time I have to go, I need to have a cheat sheet of this. Egyptian calendar. I always forget this. Inundation or flood is Ahet. That's September to January. Winter or emergence is Peret, January to May. And then low water, harvest, or summer is Shemu, May to September. So yeah, this is during the winter, quote unquote, the winter. So I know it's so hard that when they do it by year of the pharaoh, because everything then relies on other pharaohs. And unfortunately, all of this only relies on preservation of dates. You'll see that some pharaohs okay, the last writing of this wine docket, this wine jar is labeled the 15th year of Akhenaten, which this literally happens. The 15th years of Akhenaten, and then a few years later, somebody discovers something else and says, wait, this says 16th year. And it's the whole thing where Nefertiti was thought to have died, I think, before the 15th year of Akhenaten, but then they found a wall carving or wall drawing in Wadi Hammamat or something, some sort of wadi, and it had Nefertiti depicted, or her name was said when it was dated to the 16th year of Akhenaten's reign, which we know is his last, and so it indicates that she at least lived until his last year that he lived. 3 to 10 chapters each. Interesting. Is it longer than Brotherhood? So this wall docket says, year 10 for Peret 20, day of burial of the Osiris, high priest of Amun-Re, king of the gods, great chief of the army, the leader Penegem, by the gods father of Amun, overseer of the treasure, Jed Khonsu Eu F Ankh, the gods father of Amun, scribe of the army, chief inspector Nespach Ashuti, the prophet of Amun, Enamun, the godfather of Amun, Wenu Fair, by the king's scribe of the palace, the truth Baken Mut, the chief workman Peti Amun, the chief workman Amen Mos, the god's father of Amun, chief of secrets Peti Amun, son of Ak Fn Khonsu. So that was what was written on the wall. That's what was written on the wall, which like literally tells you the day it was buried. So you got to do all these calculations based on all the different reigns of all these pharaohs, but you got an exact date that it's actually buried. Somebody could do it. It's complicated, but somebody could technically give you an exact date. And then there are some linen dockets on the actual mummy. So year 1 of Cinnamon, Penejum II, Amun in year 1. Year 3 of Cinnamon, Penejum II, Amun in year 3. Year 7 of Cinnamon, Penejum II, linen which the high priest of Amun, Penejum son of Menkeper-U-Re, made for Amun in year 7. Year 9 of Cinnamon, linen which the high priest of Amun Penejum made for Khonsu in year 9. That's interesting. I'm not sure what those mean. Huh. Let's get to... I was trying to think. I think we saw it already. Yeah, here it is. How'd your dad like Gods of Egypt? This always looks like a fake wig to me, but it's definitely just the wrappings around his head. And he's got, see, look, he's got these crossed wrappings on his chest. I don't think you can actually see the bracelets. S-I-N-A-M-U-N. Cinnamon. Still sounds like that. Oh shit, we're at the end. Okay. That means we need to find... We need to go to gallery 2. Nothing can make me laugh. I am tired. I think this is our last section. Ah, god dang it, I did it again. It closed off. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Thank you, Dash. I know my eyes are getting heavy too. I think we actually might end here because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we only have 4 left. Yeah, and I can't do 4. I could do like 1, but I can't do 4. The thing is, I don't know if we technically did Unknown Man E, and he's in a separate section on this website, so I think we have... What happened to my music? Excuse you. Oh. We've been in the music for so long. Stop!
Important thing is...
Yes, Unknown Man E. So then... So I have 4 more that I have to do, and then... Commercial, can you stop? Why is it so long? Jesus. Skip, thank you. Ah, I've lost my page. Too many. Okay. I don't think we covered Bach. Okay, and then there's Unknown Man C. And the unidentified boy. We will skip the younger lady because she's technically KV 35. And we'll skip Unknown Woman D because she's KV 35. And we will skip the Mummy on the Boat, even though I love the Mummy on the Boat. We'll skip Mummy on the Boat as well. Oh, but where's... Where's Unknown Man E? Unknown Man E should be in this section. Oh, Unknown Man E. He has a whole page just for himself. Okay. So I think that is all. So we have, what did I say? We have these 4. I need to write these down so that I remember, because we probably won't get to this until I think we won't get to this stuff until not next Saturday, because next Saturday I'm doing a guest lecture in replacement of my stream, Saturday stream. And then, so it'll be 2 weeks. We'll get back to this, and this will be the last. DB320 lecture. I need to do the 21st Dynasty Gallery 2, starting with Nescons. And then I think we also saw all these coffins. Except the ones we have not covered. And then we have, oh no, Unidentified Boy is KV35. Yeah, so we have 2. And then we have 2 in unidentified mummies. And then we will finish up with Unknown Man E. He's an interesting one. And he's got the special exhibits. This guy always freaked me out a little bit, I will admit. All right, but I think that is where we are going to end.